I'm Norman Bewley. Let's get started. When you're breathing, the number one reason you're breathing is for tone. All the other reasons, they're all important, but they have to come second, because without the tone, you don't have anything else. So when you breathe, first thing you want to do is breathe in rhythm. When you're playing music, everything is in rhythm. And a lot of times when people breathe, they breathe out of rhythm. If a song is going along like this, you can't go in a breath that has nothing to do with the rhythm. So you want to learn to give your breath a rhythm, something like an eighth breath, eighth note's worth of breath, or a quarter note's worth of breath. Most of them are going to be quicker. As you've probably found out already, you usually don't have a lot of time to breathe when you're playing music. So that's one reason, and the other reason is just need to be coordinated. It also helps you just play a note correctly and come in, because timing is very important, obviously, for playing a note and starting it. And if your breath is out of rhythm or in a completely different rhythm than you're about to play, it really throws off your coordination for playing the instrument. So that's the first thing, is breathing in rhythm. You also want to breathe as often as you need to, because again, you're supporting the tone. So you want to take a breath as much as you need to sound good. Now, if you breathe every note or every other note, I'd probably have a problem with that, and so would most anybody else. So you want to try to go a reasonable amount, but you want to gauge how far you go on a breath by keeping the quality of tone rather than how many measures or beats you go, because a lot of times you play, and as you go, it sounds really good, and then as you keep playing, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. That's not keeping the breath for your tone. So you're going to have to grab a breath in there somewhere to keep the tone going. So that's one reason you want to breathe in rhythm, and you want to breathe as often as you need to play. And I just grabbed a breath when I needed to keep it going and keep the rhythm going. You also have to redefine what being full of air is. Lots of students will base having a lot of air on basically what they're used to talking. So, we talk a lot, we do it way more than we play. Even people who play constantly, we still end up talking more. You end up, that feel of what the air is to talk, how full you are when you're talking, you think of that as normal. And for talking it is. For brass playing it's not. If you try to use the amount of air that you're using to talk, to play, it sounds like this. And see, I've got plenty of air left to keep talking. So it's a much deeper breath than that, which is, when I talked about keeping the chest up to take a breath in one of the other videos. So you want to take a nice breath where you're full. In my mind, I think of being 3/4 full, as being normal. So most of my breaths are between full and 3/4 in my mind. You could set it wherever it makes sense to you, but that's just how I happen to think of it. And you want to try to stay full of air. I'm saying breathe as often as you need to keep the sound good, because if you get too low on air, you start losing your tone quality, and it's just hard to play. It's hard to play because you don't have the air to do it. So you want to try to stay full and keep that full feeling. A good exercise you can do is take a big breath and hold it, and you see what that feels like, and you want to try to keep as close to that feel as you can. So when you start to feel like you need a breath, you want to breathe to try to stay full. A lot of times, again, people will take a breath and they'll try to go as far as they possibly can and get lower and lower and lower and lower on air, and they're not able to keep the tone quality up. Now, you're going to find great players who can go quite far with a big breath and still keep the tone quality up, because they're just so efficient at making the tone in the first place that they get a lot more mileage out of it, and that's something that we should all strive for. But the idea of keeping full of the air and redefining it so you feel full most of the time when you're playing rather than low. If you're feeling empty, then you're probably well past when you should take a breath.